Good evening and welcome to the Formula Racing League Assetto Corsa Competizione, round 8 of the Taco Tuesday series in season 13 for both Pro and Silver. We arrive in Eiffel at the Nurburgring, Germany. I'm Tom Kent in the control position, here to provide you with all the details for tonight. We've got a qualifying session which I believe is going to be around about 26 minutes long, 13 for the Pros, 13 for those in Silver. And then we've got a 60-minute race with a mandatory pit stop included to round off the evening's action. In relation to what happened last week in Pro, it was domination for Gerard Vermeulen, who rounded out a pure dominating drive ahead of Alberto Aragonés, who just simply didn't have an answer whatsoever. Vermeulen won out by around about 45 seconds over his rival. Although Vermeulen is out of championship contention anyway, given how many races he's missed. In relation to the championship, Aragonés' gap over his nearest rival, which is Carl Sween, who crossed the line in third in Donington last week. The gap is 11 points with 2 races left. So it's going to take something drastic for the complexion to change there. In relation to Silver, Gordon Brown won the race in the category at Donington ahead of Ryan George and Daniel Alce, but Alce is still leading by 3 points ahead of the Brit with 2 races left, with Ryan George still somewhat in the race there, but he has failed to finish a race this season, whereas Brown's and Alce's worst results have been a 12th and 13th, with a drop score to consider at the end of the season. The championships are still alive. Looking at where we are with drivers for this evening in relation to numbers, we've got 29 this evening. Looking at the numbers we've got for each category, if I can get my maths correct, we'll do it via this order, although it says that Herwig I should say, is in there. I don't know whether he's in Pro or Silver. It can't be in Am, surely not. We'll find out in a moment. Well, Herwig has done some laps anyway, and the laps were respectable, so I'd imagine he'll be in one of the 2 divisions. If someone can correct me on that, then feel free. Lucas Herwig is in the Pro category. He hasn't raced yet this season. He's in the number 2 Ferrari 296 GT3. So best of luck to him on how he gets on. So if you were to include him, so we've got 5, 6, 7, 8, 11, 12, 15, 16. We've got 17 in Pro and 12 in Silver. Looking at who is actually in this evening, well, we know that Aragonés and Sween should be around. I don't know if Sween's actually got some laps on the board yet. He is in the server. He's got some laps on the board. He's only 13th at the moment overall. Huguenot's done a good job so far in the 945 McLaren. There is Vermeulen. I want to go for a lap with someone around this circuit. Who should we go on for a lap with? We'll go on board with Jack Prentice as he's coming through the last corner. We want to go for a lap with him as he takes us on a tour here. So he goes through here as he takes us on a lap of this Nurburgring racetrack. So we want to be up to 5th gear in this GT3. Goes to 250 km an hour before the first corner. First gear, 65 km an hour at the apex. Before you apply the throttle, once you've gone over that dip. And through turn number 2. Apply the throttle gently and then brake for 3. You're in first gear, 70 km an hour at the apex. Time the turn in to perfection through 4, which is nicely done there by Jack's standards. And then down this short back straight into the left-hander, 5 to turn number 6. And through this, I don't know whether this kink actually is classed as a corner. I don't think it did when Formula 1 there, but I could be wrong. It's coming up to the Dunlop hairpin now. First gear, 90, around about 85 kilometers an hour at the apex before the throttle is applied, and then what is known as the Schumacher S, which you can see on the right hand side there, to pay tribute to Michael Schumacher, who of course is still fighting to this day. Through turns number 11 and 12. Through the kink of 13, we've got a chicane of 14 and 15. The last corner coming up. Now they don't use the same chicane as what they do in Formula 1, they use the faster chicane, which I kind of like actually, although it may not make for an overtaking opportunity as such. Into the last corner then, in first gear, using the outside curve without exceeding trail limits. That completes the lap of the Nurburgring circuit. Thank you very much, Jack, for providing us that. Just bear with me one moment whilst I get the cameras back in place. Now we've got 30 drivers in the lobby, which is nice to see. It's good to see an increase of turnout. We'll work out how many are in, because we've had a couple join since we were counting the numbers. It's still 12 in silver, but the numbers have gone up in pro. And we've got 18, which is not too bad. It'd be nice if we've got some more from silver joining, but it is what it is. Counting down the remaining minutes of this practice session, and then we'll have qualifying to come. If you're joining us on the stream, do feel free to throw in your questions and I'll answer them in due course for you. Jeffrey Godefroy going up into second place. He's still mathematically in the running for the Pro Championship, although he needs pretty much a minor miracle if he's going to take a genuine opportunity of the championship into the last race at Watkins Glen in a week's time. Godefroy 39 points behind, bearing in mind Aragonessa's worst result has been 5th. So Godefroy needs to win tonight and hope that the likes of Aragonessa and Sween have absolute mares this evening, which is still possible. It's still very much possible. You just never know. Don't know what the weather is expected to bring. We are in the coming towards the end of the practice session, so the weather may be different for qualifying to what you are seeing right now. And in terms of the daylight that's there, you can see it's pretty dark from what you can see. Daniel Aus is currently 3rd out of all those in practice so far. It's Ryan George who's setting the pace in silver. Kyle Revel failed to finish last week. He's still in the running for the championship mathematically, but it's looking very much slim. He's going to be winning it this season. Well, Godefroy's coming over the line now. Is this going to be an improvement from before? It is, slightly. But Vermeulen is still very much the man to beat. We've got Daniel Aus in the pits right now. We've got Thomas Fitcherer out on circuit. He's ahead of the likes of Alex Spanu, Soren Mikkelsen, Will Rayner, Cameron Blair and Jack King. We had 37 competing last week in total at Donington 7 days ago. Coming around the last corner now is Fitcherer. Over the line. Well, the checker flag is out now, actually. So Fitcherer will go over the line to complete his last attempt. And that is his practice session finished. We've still got some cars out on circuit to complete their last remaining lap, so we've got a bit of time to sort of be ready for quali. Will we see anyone join in the action before qualifying begins? Probably not, to be honest with you. I think these are going to be the numbers for this evening. So Cairo third at the moment, because Matteo De Angelis is fastest of them all. De Angelis had a rough couple of rounds since he won at Paul Ricard. Let's see how Kyle gets on here as he makes his way towards the last few corners of this Nurburgring circuit. And qualifying is about to commence, and from what I'm seeing on the radar, it could end up raining whilst this session is happening, which could put some drivers at a disadvantage, particularly the ones that are going out in Pro. The Silvers are going out first. There are only 12 of them heading out. For those in Pro, well, they're going to have a bit of a job on their hands to make sure they get the best track conditions to ensure they get the best lap times. The Silver drivers are out on track now. Driver in the 720, who's that going for? It's Dario Danko in the 720 McLaren. Let us know what your predictions are for this session, who you think is going to be on pole in Silver and who you think is going to be on pole in Pro. And Chris Gedman, by the looks of it, has just joined, so he'll be making it 13 drivers from Silver making it onto the circuit. Given the layout of this Nurburgring circuit, this layout has been here since 2002. And of course there was the changes happening, although there has been a slight change back in 2003 with the chicane being somewhat revised, because it was a bit sort of like a curve back in 2002, but now it's more like a sharper curve. But this layout that the drivers are using with the quicker chicane, that will be slightly different. Just trying to find the correct layout on here. It's going to be around about 5.1 kilometers anyway, is the Danko on a fast lap then as he goes through turn number 4. Before he heads down towards the Valvoline curve, and then it's the Ford curve he'll be going through, although he's just let someone go by, so this is not going to be a fast lap by any means for Danko. The weather is going to intervene here at the Nurburgring. That is very much inevitable. Danko will get a time on the board at least anyway, or so we think. It's not going to be representative by any means. The driver's just moved in front of him. Is that Cameron Blair that's just moved in front of him? No, it's not. It's the number 10 of Ryan George, who's been going well in the practice sessions. And he's going to get the first lap time on the board. Comes around the last corner now. And what is this time going to produce here for George as he heads over the line? So 1:56 flat. Wait to see what the other lap times are going to be. Daniel Aus has gone to provisional pole with a 1:55.7. And we've got Alex Spanu producing a 1:57.7. Kyle Revel is moved to the top now with a 1:55.4. The track is beginning to pick up on it, which is no surprise. Soren Mikkelsen and Cameron Blair have posted times now, over a second off the pace. Number 58 of Matteo De Angelis is next to head over the line, 4th fastest for him, with a 1:56.6. 1:34 of Gordon Brown is next to head through. I think it was to complete an outlap, or the lap time was invalid. Number 79 of Chris Gedman has gone up to P7, 1.4 seconds off the pace with a 1:56.9. So we've still got, at the moment, out of 9 drivers, well, we've got 9 drivers that have posted times, still got 4 more that need to post theirs. Gordon Brown is one of them, Thomas Fitcherer, Jack King and Dario Danko are the others. Ryan George is coming round towards finishing his second fast lap. Heading over the line comes Ryan George. And this lap of his, is it enough to go back onto pole? It's not, only good enough for second fastest. Danko goes 4th. Daniel Aus, the silver category championship leader, does not improve his time from before. Kyle Revel does not improve his time from before, but remains on provisional pole. Look at Matteo De Angelis. We've seen a few other cars going over the line. Cameron Blair up to 4th now, ahead of Danko and De Angelis. And we have just seen Will Rayner go P7. De Angelis heading over the line now. Is this going to be an improvement from before? He goes to the top. 1:55.3 for De Angelis in the number 58 Ferrari. Will Rayner is P7 at the moment. Not anymore. He goes up to 5th. For the 1:34, Gordon Brown goes fastest by nearly 4 tenths over De Angelis. Well, 1:55 flat. Gordon Brown is the man to beat at the moment. Still got 1 driver who's yet to post a time in this session. That's the 70 Porsche of Fitcherer. He will be the next drivers across the line. We've just seen the number 79 head over, which is Chris Gedman. I don't think he improved his time from before, so he's got some work to do from that. Now, Fitcherer is the last driver to get a time in out of the silver class drivers. And his time is only good enough for 9th. But at least he's not at the bottom of the group. So Brown's back in the pits. Ryan George is still going. And he needs to keep going because he's only got 5 minutes left and there's not a lot of time to really come in and get some new tyres on and more fuel to do another run. George does not go quicker than before. That's not going to help his cause. What about those behind? Well, I can say Daniel Aus is up to 2nd now. Just a couple of hundredths away from Gordon Brown's time. Kyle Revel goes back to the top. 1:54.7 for him. A very nice lap by his standards. With Cameron Blair coming over the line now. Goes up to 6th in the Ferrari. And we've got the 740 of Jack King, the man from the Republic of Ireland, going over the line. And it's a massive improvement in terms of time. Goes up a couple of positions into 8th. De Angelis is heading over the line next now. and it is an improvement in time by a tenth, but not enough to move him up the order. Will Rayner is close to going up the order, I'd have thought, with this lap. Goes up to 6th place, ahead of Blair, so he's able to move back up. Alex Spanu needs to get an improvement of time in the 18 Porsche, and I don't think he did on this occasion. He's nearly 3 seconds off the pace, and he's only got about a couple of laps to improve, and that's it. I can tell you that Ryan George is on circuit still. The number 70 of Vitra, who is still going at the present moment. You see that Chris Gedman is still trying to improve. I don't know if he is actually on a lap, is Chris. As we see Vitra going over the line, and he goes up to 8th place. Nicely done there by Vitra, up there in front of King and Danko. Gedman does not improve his time. I think he might have been on an outlap anyway. The 134 of Gordon Brown remains in 2nd place. And now we look to the number 10 of Ryan George in the McLaren. 8 tenths off the pace compared to what Revel has done. And he improves by 4 tenths. He goes up into 4th place ahead of DeAngelis. We've got the 720 of Jack King, who's aiming to improve. Doesn't improve. That's not Jack King. Well, there is Jack King we're looking at. But it wasn't Jack King we thought we were looking at as he was heading over the line. We've got the 152 of Cameron Blair heading over now. This is Jack King. 1.4 seconds off the pace in 10th. Is this an improvement? It's not. We've got the 888 of Soren Mikkelsen heading over the line as well. He doesn't improve his time either, unfortunately. He remains in 12th. Will Rayner in the number 5 Ferrari, 9 tenths off the pace. Made that just under 8 tenths off the pace, and he goes up to 6th place. Number 18 of Alex Spano needs to improve his time, and he doesn't. And he's probably only got one more shot at it here. So number 70 of Fitra is going to be the next to head over the line. He'll have one more go at it if this doesn't work. Thomas Fitra from Germany. And number 70, Lamborghini. 1.3 seconds off. At the moment, he'll want to try and cut that down. He does cut it down, but it's not enough to move him up the order into the top 8. And we've got the 134 of Gordon Brown heading over the line. He doesn't improve his time. Number 58 of Matteo De Angelis is next to go over. It's not enough either. He stays where he is in 5th. We've got the 98 of Daniel Aus, who is coming into the pits. He's not going to be doing another lap, so he won't be on pole in silver. The 152 of Cameron Blair will be going over the line shortly. We've seen the 720 going over. That is Dario Danko. Heads over the line, but does not improve his time. He'll have another go at it. Once the 30-minute mark arrives, that's when the checker flag will fall for the silver drivers, but they'll still be able to complete their laps if they are on one. 740 heading over, that's Jack King. He does not improve his time, I don't think. No. The 888 of Soren Mikkelsen does not improve either. And Chris Gedman is out on circuit as we speak. He'll get over the line for one more attempt. See with the blue rims on the tyres that he has. Chris Gedman does not improve his time. But he did get over the line before the checker flag. He'll get one more go at it. You can see the pro drivers are starting to head out now. Chris doesn't need to worry about that. There's still drivers out on circuit. Daniels and Ryan George are done. They will not be on pole. Number 70 of Fitra is still trying to improve, but he's coming into the pits. So we've got the 134 of Gordon Brown, who's still out on circuit. He's aiming for pole here, but he's not going to do it here because he's just come into the pits. So we've got Dario Danko in the 720 McLaren, still going at it. down the back straight towards the last chicane of the circuit. Dario Danko, 8/10 off the pace. And he's coming into the pits. So we've got the 152 of Cameron Blair. Is he going to improve? He's carrying on to complete this lap. 1 second off the pace at the moment. He crosses over the line now, and he does improve his time, but not his position, so he stays where he is. There is Jack King, who looks like he's been in the wars. It doesn't look like he's going to be improving this lap. Chris Gedman has already made his way back into the pits. We'll see how Jack gets on with this lap here, because I don't think he's going to improve. The rain is starting to come down on the circuit as Jack makes his way back in. At the end of that, it is Kyle Revel who ends the silver qualifying session fastest and will start on pole in that respective group. Gordon Brown is second ahead of Daniel Aus and Ryan George on the second row, with Matteo De Andres and Will Rayner on the third row of the grid ahead of Dario Danko and Cameron Blair. Thomas Vittra and Jack King rounding out the top 10 ahead of Chris Gedman and Soren Mikkelsen, and Alex Spanu is the only driver on the 7th row of the grid in 13th place. That was silver. Now we go on to the pros. Who's going to come out on top here at the Nurburgring? Who's going to end the qualifying session fastest of all? Looking to see who is at the head of the queue here. We've got 114 for Mullen heading through there. With the rain coming down as it is, the first set of lap times could well determine everything here. And the track is going to get greasier, greasier and greasier. The track is green as we speak, but it's going to become greasy and less grippy by the minute. So it may not be a pro driver on pole overall, but that doesn't matter anyway. It's not about where you finish overall, it's where you finish in your class. That counts. You can see it's gone from green to greasy now. And I think whilst Vermeulen is on his lap, those slicks are going to burn through on a wet track. You're having to carry more steering angle into the corners, which means you wear the tyres out more. Just seen a couple of drivers from Silvers leave the server, which isn't particularly great. Don't know what's going on in relation to that. But Vermeulen is coming round to start his first attempt. Complete his first time lap actually. And it's a 1:56.4. That puts him 10th overall on that classification there. Mark Bird has got a time on the board, albeit a long way off. Jack Prentice is nearly a whole second behind Vermeulen with his latest lap. We've got Jay Wazzer coming through in the Bentley, and it's slower than Prentice. Nowhere near as quick as Vermeulen. We've got Carl Sween behind Wazzer. Vermeulen's time is a 1:56.4. More times are coming in now. Times are changing so much. I just wonder whether maybe because of the amount of cars on circuit, will some of the water disperse? Probably not. Lucas Hervig going over the line to begin a lap. And then we can see Adam Sharp on the track, who's yet to get a time on the board. It's got less than 8 minutes to go. And he's gone off the circuit. He's carried too much speed, and you can see the track conditions have changed so much. I think what we are seeing on circuit, in terms of the lap times we see initially, are going to be the times that determine the grid, which is going to make for a very interesting race to see how those in pro make their way through past the silver drivers. It's not a long race either, it's only 60 minutes. 7 minutes remaining then. Who's fastest of all still? Well, I can tell you now, Jeffrey Godefroy has gone to the top ahead of Vermeulen by 15 thousandths of a second. He is on provisional pole in Pro, and he could well hold on to it with the weather beginning to worsen. There's David Wagner, who's aiming for a quality race here tonight. The slowest of all the Pro drivers so far is Mark Bird in the BMW. There is Wagner heading over the line now. Where is this going to put him? Only 26th, and there's a long way off the time of what Godefroy's posted. Lucas Hervig coming around the last corner himself. Is this going to be enough for him to go up the order? Well, he's ahead of Wagner at least. You can see Adam Sharp fighting all the time with the car. Yeah, it looks like he's having to lift off the throttle there. I don't know if he exceeded track limits as he approaches the last corner of the lap, with over 5 minutes remaining here at the Nurburgring in qualifying. And he does move up ahead of Hervig and Wagner, so he was able to find some time actually in comparison to what Hervig and Wagner have done, but he's a long way down the order still. It looks like Simon Straczynski, Angelin Huguenot and Matteo Simon are not going to be getting laps in. And I think what we have seen on circuit with the weather as it is the way it's going to be. Now, that is Farclough of Bissell heading out on circuit to see if he can try and improve on his time. The rain is getting worse. I doubt we're going to see any improvements now. See how Carl Sween gets on here. Even though it may be a sprinkle of rain, still be able to find some form of grip, although Sween went way too deep, sliding through the gravel and onto the grass. That's the dangers of getting it wrong here at the Nurburgring, at that part of the course. But Jeffrey Godefroy is looking good for pole here in Pro. Vermeulen second ahead of Pavizl and Prentice. Pavizl going very well in the McLaren with 4 minutes still remaining. Luke Prentice, Jay Wazza, Alberto Aragoneses, Morgan Grace, Matteo Pessina, Chris Fasters in the run-in. Carl Sween, Mark Bird, Adam Sharp, Lucas Hervig, David Wagner, Simon Straczynski, Angelin Huguenot and Matteo Simon. All the rest of those in Pro. We'll remind you there are 18 in Pro tonight, 13 in Silver, unless we get any more drivers joining the server before the race gets going. Well, Vissel seems to like these conditions a lot. See, he's smoothly making his way through the last sequence of corners. Vissel wasn't able to improve his time from before and stays where he is. And the number 32 of Jay Wazza going over the line, he doesn't improve either. Got the 103 of Mark Bird, who is a couple of tenths off. Carl Sween. The 147 coming through now, which is Jeffrey Godefroy, who comes into the pits. And I doubt we're going to see back him on circuit until the race begins. So at the moment we've only got the 4.9. The 491 of David Wagner, who's still out on the circuit. heads back to the pits. We've seen some drivers returning to the racetrack to see if they can try and get one more attempt in there, but the conditions are just getting worse now. There's no way they're going to be improving their times. So Varklov Pistol comes into the pits. He'll be very happy, ending up third fastest out of all those in Pro. Time in the lap to perfection. We're into the last minute of this qualifying session. 6, 7, 8 out on circuit of Jack Prentice, who's trying to get some knowledge of the conditions, although he's finding it very hard as he goes through the NGK chicane. Heads over the line and he stays behind for Pizzle. We've got the number 2 of Hervig and the 103 of Mark Bird heading through. Try and go for one more attempt really. I think they're trying to explore the conditions in case these end up becoming conditions for the race. The checker flag has fallen, but we're not going to see improvements in times. So whilst we're waiting for that, I may as well run down on the order for this session whilst we wait for, although we are waiting to see on the drivers completing their last tours. Mark Bird is on circuit right now. We're going to have a look at the classification, but we'll just wait until the session officially ends and then we'll run down on that, because we've got a bit of a wait anyway before the formation that begins. There is Mark Bird, who last week at Donington, as he stops on the circuit, he'll make his way back into the pit lane sooner rather than later. Mark Bird came home 16th and last out of all the pro drivers, but at least he still scored some points on that occasion. And so qualifying ends, and it's a rather unusual sight because the silver drivers have ended up fastest by virtue of the weather conditions. Carl Revel is ahead. We'll start with the silver drivers in terms of the order they are in. Carl Revel is on pole ahead of Gordon Brown and Daniel Ouse, with Ryan George and Mercedes Angeles is next. Will Rayner rounding up the third row of the grid. Dario Danko and Cameron Blair are next, ahead of Thomas Fitcherer and Jack King. Chris Gedman, Soren Mickelson and Alex Spunu were the rest of those on the grid in silver. On to the pro drivers. It's Jeffrey Godefroy who ends up fastest ahead of Jared Vermeulen, albeit by the narrowest of margins, but it was still enough. Then we've got Varklov Bizzle and Jack Prentice on the second row of the grid, ahead of Luke Prentice and Jay Rosser in 5th and 6th. Alberto Oganesses ahead of Morgan Grace in 7th and 8th. Matteo Pessina and Chris Foster running up the top 10 in Pro. We've got Carl Sween in 11th place, ahead of Mark Bird and Adam Sharp. Lucas Hervig is next behind, ahead of David Wagner, with Simon Straczynski, Angeli Huguenot and Matthias Simon with the rest of those to get a time. 3 drivers didn't set times throughout the course of that qualifying session. Qualifying is done, it's now on to the race. Who will come out on top here at the Nurburgring and take a step closer to sealing either the Pro or the Silver Championship? We'll be back for the formation though, we'll be back for the race very, very shortly. formation lap is underway. Kyle Revel leading the field round for this 60-minute race around the Nurburgring circuit in Germany. Let's run down on the grid then for the penultimate round of Taco Tuesday Season 13 in the Formula Racing League Assetto Corsa Competizione. Kyle Revel on pole ahead of Gordon Brown alongside in silver, with Daniel Alson and Ryan George next behind. Matteo De Angelis and Will Rayner are next on row 3 ahead of Dario Danko and Cameron Blair, with Thomas Fitcherer and Jack King rounding out the top 10. Then it's Jeffrey Godefroy, the first of all those in pro, alongside Jared Vermeulen, who won out in Donington last week. Chris Gedman and Soren Mikkelsen, both in silver, are 13th and 14th on the 7th row. Farquhar Bissell and Jack Prentice are next behind on row 8, with Alex Spenu in 17th position ahead of Luke Prentice. Jay Wasser and Alberto Aragoneses are on the 10th row of the grid ahead of Morgan Grace and Matteo Pessina. Chris Foster and Carl Sween, who's got a lot of work to do to keep his championship hopes alive. He's got to get through the pack really and ideally win this one. Mark Burden, Adam Sharp are on the 13th row of the grid ahead of Lucas Hervig and David Wagner, with Simon Straczynski and Angela Huguenot on row number 15. Matteo Simon on his own in 31st place, as he didn't set a time in qualifying like Huguenot and Straczynski. It doesn't look like any cars are going to be starting from the pit lane, so we should expect all 31 drivers to remain on the formation lap and get ready for the start of this race. It's a greasy racetrack. The silver drivers didn't get their opportunity by the looks of it. They might have done in practice earlier, but this is the real thing. Will they get through the first few laps safe and sound, or are we going to see drama from the get-go? Well, Revel is back in the field up now, as he's getting ready for the start of this one. And it's almost like he's pulling to the side. Has he got a problem? Kyle Revel has pulled to the side. What on earth has happened there for Kyle Revel? He should be in his pole position starting spot. And I don't know what on earth has happened, whether he's accidentally hit the ignition switch or whether he's done that completely by himself. He needs to get back to pole position very, very quickly before this race gets back underway. Gordon Brown occupies that position. Will Revel get back into his spot before this race gets going? I think he's going to. There he is, look. So he's back in his position there now. He's very lucky there, because otherwise he could have been starting way down the order. We're about to get underway then for the start of this 60-minute Taco Tuesday race at the Nurburgring, involving both pro and silver. Who's going to come away with the spoils here this evening? We await for the green flag from the marshal. When it's waved, we can go racing. The green flag is waved and the drivers can go racing here at the Nurburgring. And it looks like Gordon Brown has reacted better ahead of Revel. Watch out for Daniel Alson. He looks to the outside of the McLaren as they go into turn number 1. And it looks like someone made a dive bomb into turn 1. That was it Matteo De Angelis? It was. He made a dive bomb into turn 1. He's paid the price for it. He's dropped down the order horribly. We've had a yellow flag there involving the number 14 of Morgan Grace. Behind him is Chris Gedman, who's come together with him. And they are able to keep going. Is Aragoneses still there? Yes, he is. He's still right in the thick of the action there, is Alberto Aragoneses. And he's avoided any first lap drama. We're just waiting for the order to update, because they don't update until the next time they go through the sector. And the first sector is not until they get towards the Dunlop hairpin. Now Revel remains in the lead, and it's Gordon Brown in second place. So it's as you were at the start. So we've just seen the order update there. And it looks like Carl Sween got involved in the first lap carnage. He has, and he's fallen down the order. This is bad news for his championship hopes, and he needs an absolute mighty miracle if he's going to win this championship now. It's good news for Jeffrey Godefroy, because he could win this race and close down the gap. Even if he doesn't win the championship, he could still get second place. And behind him, we've got the 114 of Jared Vermeulen coming through, and he's ahead of him in class now is Vermeulen. Godefroy is not able to fight it. These two are 6th and 7th on the road, but they're going to be ploughing through the silver class like they're not even in their own league. They're technically not in their own league, but it's not even like a battle going on. It's Revel who leads, but I doubt he'll lead for too long because Vermeulen is ploughing through the field like snow. And Godfrey goes through on what looks like Thomas Fitcherer in the Lamborghini. Let's see Vermeulen in 5th place now behind Ryan George and Daniel Aus, with Gordon Brown holding firm in 2nd place, but Carl Revel is pulling out a gap on them. Chris Gedman is in the pits with damage, so I'd imagine he'll just quickly go on to another set of tyres, get his mandatory stop done now, and he won't have to put him before this race is over. We are expecting 30 lap a 30 lap event here at the Nurburgring this evening. It's Revel who leads with Brown 2nd, it's Als, George, and it's Vermeulen, the highest of all those in Pro, ahead of Godefroy, with Blair ahead of De Angelis ahead of Blair and Fitcherer now. You can see the drivers who are out of position starting to really make their way through. And now we're looking at Alberto Aragoneses. We'll ride on board with him as he goes through the Michael Schumacher S. He caught the curb there. You can see someone losing momentum on the exit. I think that's Cameron Blair who's dropped back. See Jack Prentice dive into the inside of Fitcherer as they go through the S. Oh, there's contact! And Fitcherer's off! And he's got damage to the bonnet. And that'll be him off into the pits at the end of this lap. So not good for him after a good qualifying. And Revel playing out a 2-second margin. We're looking at Vermeulen, who is coming up to the back of Ryan George. This is for 4th place on track, but remember, Vermeulen, even if he was to finish behind those cars ahead, he'll still win the Pro class. To the back of the rear wing, how much will Ryan George fight this one? He's not able to make his way through. George does put up a fight, and Gordon Brown's gone well wide into the first turn as they go through the Mercedes arena, and that's allowed Daniel Aus to go into 2nd place in silver. Vermeulen is getting stuck behind now. That might give Godfrey a little bit of encouragement. He's got Matteo De Angelis fighting with, and the pair make contact. That's not going to please either driver one bit. They're not in they're competing in different classes, these two, but De Angelis feels he needs to get through, and you can't blame him because the 4 drivers ahead of him are ahead of 2 of those in Pro. So De Angelis can't afford to waste too much time being stuck behind drivers that are in a different class to he is. Aragoneses is ahead of Luke Prentice, and Vermeulen is now ahead of Ryan George. And we can see Vermeulen still staying in touch. How close is he going to be behind Brown in a moment? Won't go for it into the chicane. It'll be a very dark place to get an overtake done there, unless he's completely alongside. Behind Brown as they come towards the first corner. No way through for him just yet. We'll get through at some point though. De Angelis and Godefroy still tussling. Alberto Aragoneses is currently P4 in class as he goes side by side with Jack Prentice as they go through turn number 2. We've got a car in the pits, which is the 491. David Wagner, who I think has been in the war somewhere. Alberto Aragoneses didn't quite get the move done completely there. Jack Prentice is still fighting it. Yeah, he has to concede. Aragonés is through. Vermeulen in third position. Sees kick of oversteer. It's been on the curb. Carl Revel's still leading the way on the road, but I doubt that time of the front is going to last for too much longer. Depending on what happens to Jarrah Vermeulen. Over the line, and 8/10 is the gap between Alson and Vermeulen. Inside goes Aragonés, and I don't think he's going to have a leg to stand on with this. No battle. No, he wants to be fighting with those in silver, which he will do at some point, because they're going to get overtaken by Godefroy and Vermeulen soon, and Aragonés, who's now into third place in Pro. Now, as it stands, the positions as they are, Carl Sween's got ahead of Huguenot and Straczynski for your information. So Alberto Aragonés is third, Sween. So I'm just trying to work out where everyone is in terms of positioning. He's in 13th is Sween in class. That would give him 13 championship points, and Aragonés would collect at the present moment 23, and that would see him extend his lead by 10 points going into the last race at Watkins Glen. Gap will be, yes, it will be 21 between Aragonés and Sween. In relation to Godefroy, who at the moment is in second, will get 24. He would not overtake Sween. He would effectively be out the championship hunt anyway, because Aragonés has that fifth place, which is currently a drop score. I don't think there's any way that Sween is going to bounce back from this, because even if Aragonés was to have the worst of races at Watkins Glen, that could count as his drop score, and the fifth place which he had in round 3 of the championship in Zolder, that can be included in his championship score. Effectively, Aragonés will wrap up the title this evening. The only way that can change is if Aragonés has an absolute mare here at the Nurburgring. It looks like the intensity of the rain is increasing by the minute. We're on lap number 6 of the race now. You can see Aragonés fighting to get through on Godefroy for P2. See that Vermeulen is shooting further and further up the road, so he'll want to get through as quick as he can into the Dunlop curve. Godefroy goes defensive though, you can't really blame him for that. Up the hill again. It's the left-hander they go through, which is known as the Michelin curve, and it's the Vorsteiner curve that is next. Vermeulen now only 1.2 seconds behind Revel as they come up towards the end of the lap. 1 second is the margin. Right-hander and the left and the right-hander of the Mercedes arena as they exit. This is the Valvoline and Ford curves coming up for these two. Matteo Pessina is at the back with Will Rayner and Thomas Fitzgerald. They have had their own melodies in this race. I can tell you that Chris Gedman is in, well, he's just been lapped by the leaders actually. He's got to hope that some of these start pitting soon, because otherwise he'll fall too further back by the time the stops are already done. Now we'll look at Joe Vermeulen. He's about to take over leadership overall. Revel won't fight it because he knows this is not his race. In terms of the championship for Revel, he's very much out of the equation. Unless he wins this evening, that might give him a chance, but he's running out of chances here. It's likely that the title race in silver is going to go down to the last race. Els is ahead of Brown as Revel heads for the pits, which is rather early, unless he intended to go that early. Only 7 laps into the event. But Vermeulen is ahead at the front now. Are we going to see any other drivers heading for the pits? Well, Aragonés is still behind Godefroy for position. Got the 95 in the pits as well. Well, 95 is Revel, I should say. There's another car in the pits, which I'm trying to see. Well, there's Matteo De Angelis and Matthias Simon also in. And Vitra has done his stop. He's going to rejoin, I think, a lap down on the leaders. "15 minutes into the race now. Vermeulen in his customary position as he was in the last race at Donington. It's unlikely he's going to be trouble from here now. Where is this going to place Revel here? Well, he's going to be at the back anyway, in all the queue that's there. He's done his stop, he's left the box now. And he's got a 30-second stop and go penalty for speeding in the pit lane for Kyle Revel. His hopes of victory in the silver class are dashed now. He will not come back from that. And what I'm seeing as well is we're expecting the rain to stop within the next half an hour. So it could be about 15 minutes to go before we start seeing some of the drivers deciding to switch from rain tyres to slicks. And that's going to make for a very interesting end to the race. Says it's still behind Godefroy for position. Second in pro, this is the battle for. Got the 2 Prentices. Nose to tail, well not anymore because Luke is ahead of Jack. Got a yellow flag in sector 1, it's gone away now. Well no, it's come back, it's the 992 that stopped, it's Matthias Simon. That is that Matthias Simon? No, I can say that's not Simon. I think we've lost a couple of drivers from the race. I don't know who they are, but they've seemed to have left the server. It looks like Vitera is one of them. And the other could be, I think, another one of those silver drivers. I'm just trying to remember. By the way, We're going no further in this one. The track is damp now. Jared Vermeulen continuing his way. Daniel Else in second. Holding firm ahead of Gordon Brown. Crucial in the race for silver. Whilst the battle for the Pro Championship is reaching its foregone conclusion, the Silver Championship is still very much alive between a number of drivers. I can tell you that you can see Als, Brown and George nose to tail here, and it looks like Godofroy's just got through on George. I can say that Brown is actually 6 seconds behind Als. He's continuing to lead the way. Kyle Revel is into the pits for his stop and go. And Revel's stop and go penalty has been served and he's out on his way. George, who's behind. Looks like Alberto Aragoneses has just got in front of him. George has run wide on the exit of turn number 4. And there we can see Revel staying out of the way. What might have been for him today if it wasn't for that error. Says holding 3rd position, which will be enough to seal the championship tonight, which means that the season finale, the highest number of points he could drop is 11, because the 5th place finish in Solder is his worst result. Sween's worst result of the season has been 9th at the season opener at the Hungaroring. Hence why it will be impossible for Aragoneses to be caught. If Aragoneses was to come away with 3rd, and Sween, who's at the moment, working out where everyone is in the order. Sween is in 10th place in class. That would give him 16 championship points to Aragoneses 23. The gap will be 18 points going into the last race. Effectively, all Aragoneses needed to do this evening is finish ahead of Sween. And he's doing so right now. See Godofroy making his way through on Brown. Brown knows that it's not his fight. Dario Danko and Simon Straczynski and Will Rayner are all in the pits. Danko has done his stop. He's leaving the pits now. See the Bentley of Brown getting out of shape. needing to worry about the two cars going through because one is in pro and another is a lap down on him. You can see that Kyle Revel is trying to get back into the action here and make up for lost time. So they cross over the line, and you can see Kyle Revel into the slipstream of Aragoneses. He is allowed to do this. He is a lap down after his stop and go, and he wants to get through on Aragoneses into turn number 1. Aragoneses does go in very, very deep. Might give Revel the high ground to unlap himself. Does the switch back on the exit of 2. Will have the inside line for 3, but decides not to go for it. They've been very ambitious for him to do so. Will be happy to just take it easy from here and in. The track is damp, but it will get better within the next 15 minutes or 20 minutes or so. This is a battle for 5th place between Jack Prentice, Farquhar Vissel, and it's just these two actually in the pro. Morgan Grace is a little bit further back behind Adam Sharp, and Jay Wazzer's got him for company. Carl Sween, after error on the first lap, he has to finish ahead of Alberto Aragoneses in this race to take the championship to the last round in Watkins Glen. It's very unlikely he's going to do that now. Sween, the number 21 Porsche. See Cameron Blair coming into the pits. We'll see how long it takes for him to complete this stop, given that we are around half race distance. He may make the early switch to slicks, given that the track is drying out. At 34.48, so let's see how quick he can get this pit stop done. See if he can get out in front of Dario Danko. Dario Danko is in the 720 McLaren. The stop will probably take around about 35 seconds, I would have thought, so probably about 34.13 before he rejoins here. About 33 seconds that stop. He should get out in front of Danko. And Blair has left the pits and he stays in front of Danko. Danko's tyres will be up to temperature though, so Blair has got some work to do to get his tyres into the optimum window. We are approaching the halfway point of this race. Phil Mulin's coming around to complete his 13th lap. And Anthony Huguenot has exited the pits. See the 740 of Jack King go off circuit briefly, but has continued. Looking to see who is battling with who at the moment, because we've got Søren Mikkelsen and Alex Spanu in somewhat of a battle, but those who have yet to make their stops so far, the highest who have yet to make the stops is Daniel Aus. The highest of all those that have stopped in silver is Cameron Blair. Fadler Papizzle is in the pits at the moment for Pro, but other than him, David Wagner is the highest of all those in Pro to have pitted so far. I would expect Papizzle to rejoin in front of Wagner. If you remember, Wagner was one of the first to pit in very early. Papizzle in the number 34 is exiting the pits now. He'll rejoin well in front of Blair, no problem. Papizzle has rejoined behind Mikkelsen. He's behind Spanu as well, and King. Hervig as well. He's behind Pacina, so he'll be in front of Blair. I wonder what time it is over at the circuit. And it's 7:35 PM. This race should get done before darkness anyway. I think over here in the UK, where I'm broadcasting from, it's likely to be pitch black by the time this race has ended. Vermeulen's gap over Als is 8.5 seconds, and the gap between Vermeulen and Godefroy is just under 14 seconds. Aragonés is another 3.5 seconds back, but he's more importantly ahead of Sween. I think those who are still going are preempting the weather and are remaining out there so they know they need to change tyres. This is going to be a very, very interesting game here. Half an hour left into the race. We're halfway through now, and it looks like the championship is very much in Aragonés's grasp. And you've got one round to go, but with the 5th place being his lowest score of the season, the lowest that Aragonés could drop in terms of points is 11. Not 11, sorry. The lowest he could drop in Watkins Glen is 6. My apologies for that. So not only does Carl Sween need to finish in front of Aragonés, he would need to outscore him by a minimum of 6 points. So he would need to ideally win and get the fast start, which is very unlikely. And Aragonés would need to finish 6th or lower, and that's not going to happen now. Aragonés has got this one in his pocket. He doesn't need to win the race, doesn't need to finish 2nd. 5th place finish or higher will do, regardless of where Carl Sween ends up. Godefroy was out of contention for the championship. I should have really noticed it before the race had started. The same for Adam Sharp and Morgan Grace as well. I think they knew they weren't going to be fighting for the championship this season. Seeing that Søren Mikkelsen and Alex Spanu have come into the pits, as has Matteo Pacina. Alson Brown Still going else ahead of all those in silver, but there's still a number of drivers yet to pit. And so, we've got 3 drivers in the pits. The track is getting greasy now, but it's better than what it was before when it was damp. Air temperature 15 degrees, track temperature 15 degrees. And we see Al's come into the pits now, as is Godefroy. Second and third on track. Alberto Aragoneses will go through into second place. Just need to just update the control thing so we can get the cameras on. For some reason it hasn't done it. My apologies for this, but sometimes we get a helicam of Vermeulen going further and further and further up the road. He's probably waiting to see. Oh, you can see he's running wide there at Dunlop. You can see he's trying to, I think, maybe use some of the outline, so the outside of the circuit, to find any leftover patches of water to keep the tyres cool. Not expecting the rain to stop for another 10 minutes. Vermeulen may have to be a little bit brave here and just preempt it a little bit and come in maybe a lap or two before the rain stops. And we've got a 30-second stop and go penalty for Ryan George in the McLaren. And that very much ends his hopes of winning the Silver Championship this season. So like Kyle Revel, George will fall down the order. It looks like Will Rayner's been in the pits for a long time. We've got a car stopped on the circuit. It's Matteo Pessina. I don't know what's happened there, whether he's hit the ignition switch by accident. He probably has done. He needs to be careful he doesn't rejoin back into the path of other drivers, which he doesn't do so. He's had a race to forget as well as Pessina, unfortunately. So we've got 3 drivers out of the race now. George, 15th position currently, but that will be a lot lower down when his stop and go penalty has been served. Godefroy is behind Als still on the road. He needs to get on with it because he could end up losing second place at this rate to Aragoneses. Lucas Herfig is next to come in. He's done a respectable job so far. He's in the pro class, in case you were wondering. And George also into service stop and go. Vermeulen's lead over Aragoneses as we wait for the gaps to update. They cross over the line, you can see that Vermeulen's gone over the line still. I think Aragoneses is like another 20 seconds back. It's 22 seconds for Aragoneses. Rain should stop within the next few minutes, I would expect. So dry tyres are going to be necessary soon. Jay Wazza has decided to head for the pits, as is Carl Sween. Aragonesa has run wide, he'll need to be careful doing that. He did receive a drive-through at Donington for track limits, but he had a big enough gap over third place Carl Sween to keep hold of it. We've got a yellow flag briefly, but that's been cleared. I think it's Chris Gedman, who has gone for a spin at Dunlop. He's not had a good race this evening, has Chris. I think Matthias Simon is the other driver that left earlier, along with Thomas Vitra, and Will Rayner is out of the race as well. So we've only 3 drivers so far in this. Wazza in 8th, Sween in 9th. And they're going to rejoin the circuit together. Mark Bird has already gone through, as has Jack King, Daniel Ouse likewise. Chris Foster is not ahead of them. Sween can look back on a season where it's been promising for him before it fell away. Daniel Ouse in 10th position now on track. He's the highest of all those that have pitted. And Grayson, who were in 5th and 6th before they came in for their stops. This is an important stop in the race. And Aragonesa is not going very quickly. Has he accidentally hit the ignition switch? Because it looks like he has. And he's losing a bundle of time. Has he run out of fuel? It looks like he's crawling into his box, and that might give Carl Sween the chance that he needs, but even so, and you can see Aragonesa is just trying to get into his box there. Is this his box he's stopping into? And all the time is lost there. I think what's happened is that he's tried to go as far as he can with the fuel load that he had before he absolutely needed to come in. And that will have cost him time. Well, that's going to lose him a position to Mark Bird, I would have thought. He's lost a position to Morgan Gray, certainly. He's down a lap on Vermeulen, but Vermeulen's still yet to stop. He's done his 20th lap now, has the South African. Aragonesa has done his stop now. But where is Godefroy? Well, Godefroy's gone through. Pervizel has most certainly gone through. Jay Wazza has gone through. Carl Sween has gone through. Where has Alberto Aragonesa ended up? Well, he's quite some way down from where he was before. Still raindrops coming down, hence why the windscreen wipers are still being used. We'll see where Aragonesa is at. Well, he's at the very minimum. He's got to be behind Mark Bird. Surely he is. He is behind Mark Bird. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11th in class now is Alberto Aragonesa. He goes for the move on Mark Bird. That was very, very risky, and he did very well to slow the car down. Now, even if Aragonesa was to get through on Bird, He's got a long way to catch up to Chris Faster, who's already done his stop. I want to see if there's anyone pitting in this lap. It doesn't look like they are, but they will pit in for dry tyres soon. Bird goes wide, and that's enough for Aragonesa to go back through into 10th. Now, this would be his worst result of the season as it stands for Alberto Aragonesa. He will not get in front of Vermeulen, Prentice, Sharp, or Prentice, both of the Prentices, I should say. As it stands, if Carl Sween was to finish, or where is he? He's only a couple of positions up from Aragonesa. Aragonesa's nearly dropping it though, as he tries to push as hard as he can through the NGK chicane. You see Godefroy with a new fastest lap. Now he's on the slicks. It was 11 points was the gap coming into this round. Aragonesa's 5th place in Solder will come into play as a point score, because the one that Aragonesa has, his 10th place here, would be his worst score. So Aragonesa's point score would improve still by... Ooh, how much will it be? It'll be by 5 points, won't it? So his 5th place would move him on to 20, would be a 21 point score, so he'll move on to 173. Carl Sween, who's in 8th, will be getting 18 championship points. He'll go on to 159. So it would still not be enough for the championship to go down to the last race. Sween has to finish a lot higher than where he is at now. He's behind Jay Wazzett and Morgan Grace. Daniel House is ahead. Well, I say he's ahead. He's still got Gordon Brown to get through at the moment, who is yet to make his mandatory stop, but it's very likely he'll get in front of him anyway. Jack King is also still yet to pit. So it looks like it's going to be Alce Brown and potentially Cameron Blair in the top 3 in silver. Vermeulen is expected to win this one. In second, I would think it's going to be Jeffrey Godefroy, but that depends on how quick the pit stops are for the 2 Prentices and Adam Sharp. It could be quick enough, you know. The windscreen wipers are no longer being used. The track is very much dry now, albeit it's still greasy, but it will become fast and then optimum in the remaining minutes of this. And David Wagner is in the pits again, presumably for a set of slicks. I think Kyle Revel has left the server. He's gone from this one. So it's Warena, Revel, Vitra and Simon who are all out of the race. See, drivers heading over the line. Cameron Blair 2.5 seconds behind Pavizel, in different classes to each other. You can see Alce is actually still using his windscreen wipers as Vermeulen comes into the pits now from the lead. He had a very huge cushion, so even if it was to get a drive through or a stop and go, although that's probably not the best thing for him to be getting, still be in contention to win this race. So it comes down towards the last garage, which is up. So stop at 12:51. How quickly is this pit stop going to take? The answer to that question should be about 20 seconds, I would have thought. Past the 30-second mark. He's done that in about 32, 33 seconds for Vermeulen. And he rejoins still in the lead. Well, I say still in the lead. He's behind Prentice and Sharp and the other apprentice of Jack. Brown is through also. He's ahead of Godfrey, so Vermeulen on course for back-to-back wins. Not in the championship by any means. It's very much within Alberto Aragonés' grasp now. Now, with it being Aragonés' worst score of 10th, if it was to remain as it is, we've still got one more round to go. If it was to remain as that, the lowest number of points he could drop in the last race will be 10. So if he has a lead of at least 10 points as it is after this race, the title will be his. At the moment, with him in 10th and Sween in 9th, but having said that, Aragonés has the same number of points coming away from this as Sween. Sween will improve his score regardless. Aragonés will have his 5th place become his score round instead of the one here, because the one here will be worse than that. Got both of the apprentices and Adam Sharp in the pits now, so we should see Gordon Brown into the lead for now. Got over 10 minutes remaining. Light is fading here at the Nurburgring, but we're going close to the end. The time we are at now is 7:56. Alberto Aragonés has the fastest up of the race so far. Godfrey is through into 2nd place in class. And Farclough Abizel should go into 3rd, no problem. Morgan Grace is 2. Has he got through? No, I think looks like Luke Prentice is still ahead of him. Adam Sharp is behind Carl Sween. So Sween is able to get through. So it's looking very good for Aragonés' championship here this evening. Doing everything he needs to do despite that error in the pits. It's been a phenomenal drive. Vermeulen is 5 more laps away from victory. And Brown, has he made his way into the pits yet? He has done now, so he's the last to pit in. And this is to win in silver this evening and keep his title hopes alive. This needs to be a very, very quick start, but I doubt he's going to keep hold of position ahead of Als. The track is very much picking up anyway. We'll see how he gets on. The 152 is quite some way behind. It's going through the chicane. Brown has yet to leave the box at the moment. In the box for about 30 seconds. He's not going to keep hold of the position ahead of Cameron Blair. Blair will go up into second place, and it looks like Danko is going to head through as well. Just get the controls updated actually so I can switch the cameras round. So the order in silver is Als, Blair, Danko, and Brown has rejoined in front of Alex Spanu, who's had a brilliant race, it has to be said. They're in 5th place in class, putting no foot wrong. Nice job by him. Bearing in mind, DeAngelis and George have been in the wars this evening. I see Ryan George is trying to make up for lost time, but the race is coming towards its end now. Godefroy has the point for the fastest lap. Gareth Vermeulen crossing over the line to complete his 26th lap. He's 12 seconds ahead in the lead over Jeffrey Godefroy. And he's now got the fastest lap of the point. So the fastest lap of the race taken away from Jeffrey Godefroy. I don't think that's going to be beaten. Luke Prentice is behind Farclough Bizzle in the battle for 3rd place. This could get very interesting here. These two going into battle. And behind these two is Morgan Grace. Now, Bizzle I think was one of the first to pit in for dries. And it looks like his slicks have pretty much fallen off the cliff here in the closing stages. Whereas Luke Prentice is on much, much better tyres than what he is on. Luke heads to the outside into the first bend of this circuit. Stays within the track limits. Prentice up the inside. Bizzle leaves him room. And Luke Prentice is through and up into the final podium position in Pro. That was a brilliant overtake from Luke. Carrying on his good form. He's up into the top 3 and on course for a podium finish. His brother Jack is down the order still. He's in 9th in class, and the next driver ahead of him, or behind him, is Alberto Aragoneses. Carl Sween is in 7th place, with Alberto Aragoneses in 10th. And that'll be 3 points going in the way of Sween closing down the gap by 3 points, but Aragoneses' score in Solder would apply. So instead of a 10th place finish that he's going to be scoring in this round, it's going to be a 5th, technically, for Aragoneses, which will see his score, instead of what would be 168, it's going to be 173. And for Sween, he'll continue to better his score anyway by being in 7th place. That will give him 19 championship points. That will put him on to 160. Making it impossible for Aragoneses to be caught in the championship race. And we have seen a driver ahead for the pits. Who is that that's going in? Couldn't quite see who it was. We'll find out to see who that is, because it's very late to be making a pit stop. It's Chris Faster that's come in. Now, if Alberto Aragoneses was to finish 10th, the highest amount of points he could drop in the last race is, at the moment, I believe it's 10. Which explains why it'd be impossible for Sween to close down the gap in the championship in order to win it. As it stands, the gap will be 13 points with only 1 race to go. And with the drop score rule still there, it is impossible for Sween to overcome Aragoneses. He needs to overtake 3 more cars in class to keep the championship race going. And I can tell you that Adam Sharp has gone for a spin somewhere and he's fallen behind. Well, someone has had a spin anyway. Either way, Sween's still in 7th place, behind Jay Wazza, who's in a battle with Morgan Grace. And ahead of Grace is Farglove Abyssal, who's really struggled on his tyres. Hence why Luke Prentice got by him. And he's going to be under attack, I would have thought, from Grace and Wazza. Vermeulen will head over the line. I think he's started his penultimate lap already. There's Vermeulen, but he's got not long to go now. You can see the skies are darkening. And Sween is under threat from Sharp, but we're looking at a 3-car battle between Vervizel, Grace and Wazza for 4th position. Vervizel is not enjoying the tyres he's on. He's wanting the checker flag to come out now. He's got 2 more laps to endure. It's been a very good effort from him today. It really has been. And Sharp is behind Sween, determined to get through. And see that Aragonés is trying to close down the gap on Prentice in case anything happens up ahead. And there are these 3 here. Vervizel, Grace, Wazza in the battle for 4th, 5th and in class. Race leader Gerard Vermeulen has started his final lap. You can see the 3 still going, and Daniel House is on course for victory in silver, which would take him a giant step closer to clinching the silver championship. It won't be clinched tonight, but it'll take him a step closer to it for sure. Ryan George is all but out of the frame for the championship, as is Andrew Tulloch, who hasn't raced this evening, and Jack King was well and truly out of it before this evening started. So you can see Vervizel, Grace and Wazza are starting their last laps now. We'll go to the race leader Gerard Vermeulen. He hasn't put a foot wrong. Had to fight his way through the field because of the weather conditions in qualifying. He's made it work. He's about to complete yet another convincing victory. Back-to-back wins. Hopefully we'll see him for the finale in Watkins Glen in a week's time. We'll go to Alberto Aragonés soon, as he is about to clinch the Taco Tuesday Championship in Pro. We'll stay with Vermeulen. He's about to complete victory here at the Nurburgring. Dominant in Donington. Unstoppable here at the Nurburgring. Gerard Vermeulen in the 114 Ferrari has put no foot wrong from the start. He completes his final lap, the last corner, to win in Taco Tuesday for the 2nd week running. Gerard Vermeulen wins in Taco Tuesday. What a performance, what a drive. Jeffrey Godefroy will come home in 2nd place. And then we'll go to Daniel Aus, who's going to win for the 3rd time this season in silver. And he's favourite to win the championship in Watkins Glen next week. Luke Prentice will complete a podium for him in the Ferrari. It's been a great performance from him again. And Farglove Abyssal should be able to hold off. In fact, no. In fact, yes, he has, sorry. He should be able to hold off Morgan Grace and Jay Wazza. Carl Sween, 8th in the end, or 7th in class it'll be. We want to go to Alberto Aragonés. What a season it has been for him. 4 wins this campaign. And he's about to clinch the championship with a race to spare. Alberto Aragonés crosses over the line to become the Taco Tuesday Season 13 champion in the Formula Racing League. He can celebrate. It's mathematically impossible for him to be caught now. He can even take the week off if he wanted to. But he'll celebrate with donuts for sure. If he's got any fuel left, of course. What a performance. In silver, Cameron Blair finishes second of Dario Danko and Gordon Brown. So it's an extension in his championship lead for Daniel Aus going into the last race at Watkins Glen. But there is your race winner. It's Jared Vermeulen in the 114 Ferrari at the Nurburgring. Congratulations also to Alberto Aragonés on becoming the Season 13 Taco Tuesday champion. Jeffrey Godefroy in second in Pro ahead of Luke Prentice and Farclough Bizzle. Morgan Grace was fifth ahead of Jay Wazza and Carl Sween in seventh. Adam Sharp eighth. Jack Prentice ninth and Alberto Aragonés in 10th place after having to crawl into the pits as he was low on fuel. It's his worst result of the season, but with his 5th place in Solder, now a point score, it's impossible for him to be caught in the championship. Mark Bird 11th ahead of Anthony Huguenot, ahead of Simon Straczynski in 13th, David Vardner in 14th ahead of Matteo Pacina and Chris Faster were the rest of those in Pro to finish. In the silver class, Daniel Aus was the winner for the 3rd time this campaign ahead of Cameron Blair. Dario Danko was 3rd ahead of Gordon Brown. Alex Spino in a fine 5th place. That's his best of the season so far ahead of Jack King. Soren Mikkelsen was 7th ahead of Matteo De Angelis. Ryan George after his penalty was 9th and Chris Gedman was the last of those to finish in 10th. Kyle Revel, Will Rayner and Thomas Vitra were the rest of those to not finish. It's championship complete for Alberto Aragonés, but the battle for 2nd place is still mathematically alive, I would have thought, because Jeffrey Godefroy has closed down the gap to Carl Sween. Godefroy finishing 2nd, so that's 24 championship points. Carl Sween by finishing 7th is 19. So that closes it down a little bit, doesn't it? From 18 points down to 13. Now, Godefroy's worst result has been a 12th. Sween's worst result has been a 9th place finish. So in actual fact, it might be mission accomplished for Sween finishing 2nd because of the system with a drop point score for the round. In silver, Els was 3 points ahead of Gordon Brown coming into this round. I don't know who had the fastest lap, unfortunately, in silver because of the 2 groups being in the same server, but it's an increase by a minimum of 3 points, so it's down to just 2 drivers to win the silver class this season. Ryan George, Andrew Tillett, Jack King, Will Rayner and all that are very much out of the running. If you have enjoyed that, do make sure you leave a like and subscribe in case you haven't already done so, and have a look at the championships of which the Formula Racing League has to offer, both on PC, PlayStation and on F123, soon to be F124 because that comes out later this week. We'll do it all again for one last time in Taco Tuesday at Watkins Glen, same time next week, and do tune in for then. I'm Tom Cairns, and I'll speak to you again soon when the Formula Racing League returns.